Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I wanted to do a video on cost-effective items. So these two are less than $10. These are $9 full price. Now, I purchased these from scrapbook.com, and so that's where they were $9 US. This one here is only $2.99 for this. So such a good price, and these are chock full of all these sticker sheets for sentiments. Now this is the monochrome one, and I absolutely love this. Now I'm not going to lie, my kids took a couple of sheets instantly for their card making supplies, but I have the rest, and this is a really good deal. I think lots of a good range of sentiments. Now by all means, this video is not about having to buy these two items, but I do want to show you, just with some sentiments and one pack of ephemera, the cards that we can create. And we're going to make a lot of cards today. Now this is from American Crafts. This is the April and Ivy collection. Now this was $5.99 full price, US dollars, of course. I have an audience from all around the world, which I am so grateful for. People from all over the world, so many different countries covered, which is amazing. But so it doesn't matter if you can or you can't get this exact one. It's not really about that, but I do think this is good value for money. Now, often I shop at scrapbook.com. It has good international shipping for me. I live here in New Zealand, and so they also regularly have a minimum sort of like 8 to 10% off of the coupon code. And they tend to do 2 or 3 freebies. You can put all of those freebies in your cart. Now, I am not paid by them. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get free, items from them. I am just a member of the public paying for my goods. This is where I choose to mainly purchase them. I purchase a few things locally here. Actually, I was recently at a place called Ribbon Rose in Auckland. And it has a wonderful array of goods there, not just paper crafting, but it includes paper crafting. And yeah, I had a great time. I purchased plenty of things, which I am excited to share with you. But this is what is in this ephemera pack. Now, there is so much in here, and these have the gold foil accents. Now, I think that you can pick up similar things to this. Honestly, if you look on the clearance page, particularly on scrapbook.com, they have an amazing, amazing clearance page of which you can pick up beautiful things like that. If I can see some ephemera packs that are very similar, I will link them all down below so that you can check them out and usually get a really good price on them. So we are going to kick into this card making. I did use a couple of embossing folders on some of these backgrounds because honestly, without having any background papers or a paper pack to work with, I think these, that's an extra challenge. So to add just a little bit more in the background, I have used some embossing folders. Now I'm going to use a little splatter of black ink, and I want this kind of mainly on the center part of the card. I covered up those two corners with some scrap copy paper just to block them off. Add some adhesive on the back. I'm going to layer this up with a matting layer, but I've chosen some of the butterflies. This is less than half of the butterflies that come in the pack, so we've still got plenty more after this, but these little butterflies are going to be fluttering along this page, and I'm only going to add adhesive on the center of their wings so that they can pop up. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you definitely don't need this ephemera pack. You might even be able to make some of these. You might have the supplies already for some of these or something similar where you can just get a little bit of inspiration from some of these designs. And I think that the reason that I wanted to make this video today and to sort of challenge myself is because card making can be, or paper crafting can be, a really expensive hobby if you choose to get all the tools and the bells and whistles and all the great things. And they are great, they are fabulous, but there are definitely ways that you can create items that don't have to be so expensive as well. And it's about enjoying your hobby and finding something that you enjoy. It is so important in life to have a little hobby or a little something you can turn to and take a break from everything else, because life is busy these days. It is fast paced, and I really enjoy the time that I get to just slow down and do some card making. For me, this is time that I value so much, and so it doesn't always have to be with all the bells and whistles and machines and hot foil presses and laminators and die cutting machines and all the wonderful good things, but we are just going to take some great ephemera, one pack, and some sentiments, of course, and have fun creating beautiful cards today. And I hope that you are going to enjoy this video. Now I'm going to put some of these together, layer some of these up. There are a few vellum pieces in here as well, maybe not as many. There's only about maybe 8 or 6 or 8 or 8 or 10 vellum pieces, and so I have used one of them because the great thing is that you can still add your glue behind those colors and behind that foiling. You can add that glue behind your vellum and it is going to be a really easy way to adhere it. Now I'm using the Art Glitter Glue today. This is something I've been working with for the few months, and I know I need the fine needle tip on it, but honestly that's pretty pricey, and so I'm checking out if I like the glue. I usually use my matte medium, my Ranger multi-matte medium, and I love that glue. I still love that glue. I think the Art Glitter Glue has a much quicker drying time, and so I know I'm not used to it, but honestly sometimes it dries a little quick for my liking. I definitely love my matte medium, and so I'm just enjoying trying out this new glue. Of course, it is highly recommended, and it is a great glue, I will say that for sure, but it does dry very, very quickly. So if you're someone who likes to have a bit of wiggle time, and generally that's the reason that people like liquid glue, is that it gives them that time to adjust things around, the Art Glitter Glue for sure gives you a lot less than the matte medium. And I think the matte medium dries pretty quick, actually, to be honest. But yeah, the Art Glitter Glue certainly dries very, very fast. Okay, now with the cards going on here, this is already has these little windows, this little frame here, but I'm actually going to cut these out and make this a little more dimensional. And so I am just going to take my little fussy cutting scissors, my cutter bees, and I'm going to whip around the outsides there. And I wasn't able to save those inside pictures, which I agree is a little bit sad, but that's okay. I'm going to add some foam tape. Now I want to show you a little trick here in a second. So I'm adding the foam tape. At the moment, this has all of the release paper on the back of it. Then I'm going to take this is one of the Darice folders. It's called Fine Dots or Swiss Dots or something like that, embossing folders on the white background. Now only here have I taken off the very bottom release paper of my foam strips. That means that I can tuck these things in and sort of move them around. Now this one isn't so bad, but the next one is much wider, and I'm actually going to lift it up to tuck it in behind, because at the moment only the bottom one is attached. So then I can reach behind and pull out all these extra little pieces, and then it will be all adhered down really nicely. Now I do need to trim this down a little bit. There's a little bit of excess hanging over the edge. And again, not too much happening in the background, but just a little bit more, going on than just a plain white background. Now, as I mentioned earlier, without too many background papers, it's hard to, and not bringing in any extra tools like ink and all those colored things that I could add, then our backgrounds are going to be somewhat plain, but that's okay, because this just creates a really good opportunity for a focal point. So I have added in a little sentiment down the very bottom. Those stickers are fabulous. I think I saw somewhere that there are more than 150 stickers in this pack, and they're all big ones, none of like little dots that count or anything. They're all big, beautiful sentiments. So well worth the price in my opinion. Now here I'm actually going to take one of the little pieces of ephemera, and I'm actually going to cut some branches out of it for these little birds. Now I'm only going to use the 2 birds and the little branches I cut, but just wait to see what we create here, because this is probably one of my favorite cards that I have created. Now I just do a little sort of freehand scissor branch here, and I cut out 3 of them, and then that way I can choose the 2 favorites that I like. Some of them have kind of got words in between it, but you actually can't tell that they are words at all. It just looks like textured little branch that they're sitting on. And so I will have 2 of these and then cut off the ends of them so they're all nice and neat with the edge of the card. I've got these cute little birdies that are going to sit on them. I am going to pop these up on a little bit of foam tape just to give the card a tiny bit of dimension, but by all means, put them down flat. That would look just fine too. As I said, this is a relatively plain card, but we are going to take a fine line marker and add a few things here to really take this to the next level. First of all, we need a beautiful little sentiment, and for this one, I am going to choose the one that says "So much love." I love this. It's in a beautiful scripty font, and pop this up the top of my card. Take my black fine liner, and of course, the first thing I'm going to do is add in my wobbly border line. So just a couple of on purpose wobbly lines down each side, and you want them to kind of, squiggle in and out of each other. I have lots of videos showing how to do this, and it's such an easy way to create a frame. Then I'm going to add some tiny little hearts up above these two beautiful little birdies, again just using my fine liner marker, and I think we have transformed this card into something pretty gosh darn cute. We are moving on to the next card today. As I said, we are creating lots of cards, and then you'll still be able to see what I have left over at the end of this. Now, this one kind of reminds me of a floating frame card, but without the die cutting, because obviously we have the frame that we're just going to create out of these individual little pieces. I've chosen kind of all florals, some branches and some leaves, and then some flowers and of different types. And then just to keep this all in place, once I have got this all set out, you could either use some press and seal. I don't have any of that at the minute, but I do have some mint tape. This is the 4-inch wide mint tape, and I know that even if I run this through my die cutting machine, it's going to pull away from all of those die cuts and everything perfectly. We aren't die cutting this today, so all I'm going to do is pick up everything where I've got it exactly in place, add the foam tape to the back, take off the release paper, and then pop it down exactly in place, and that saves me from having to recreate what I had already created in the frame. And I just peel this off nice and slowly, because obviously there's some delicate little pieces. We don't want to rip any of the fauna or the florals, and so we are able to put a nice little extra bits and pieces if we want to fill in some of the gaps. I just take, the odd little flower, and then I've taken one of the sentiments and popped it up on a 1 1/4 inch circle that I use my circle punch just to punch out, and then we have the next card finished. Right, we are moving along speedy. This is some wood grain textured background. I mainly used embossing folders that I had already had embossed, which made life a lot easier too. This one is from Altenew. I will link it down below. I think it's called something planks. As I said, I will link all of these supplies I've used down below. That way you can have a really good look at some of the items if you want to get a closer look. That way you can see if there's something that you have that's already similar, or you can get a really good look at what's in the pack if you didn't hear in the video. And I add some black splatters only because I kept them that whole time. I just had that little acrylic block with some black ink on it, and I figure if I've done it for one card, it's a waste to just wipe up the ink and carry on, so I may as well use it for multiple cards. This one was a nice easy one. It had that gorgeous little wreath ready to go, a little birdie, one of those beautiful birdies with the gold accents, and then a gorgeous little thank you sticker to go down the bottom. This card is so easy, and I decided to make this one a little square design. It would have looked beautiful on a normal rectangle one as well, but square is something different. Then for the next one, I couldn't help myself. I know I said I wasn't going to add ink, but I had this little picture in my mind, so I apologize for this one. All I did was just take some brown. This happens to be vintage photo. I didn't even do any shading. I didn't do anything. I just couldn't resist adding that tiny little bit of ink to these planks, and then I'm going to cut off one corner, turn the piece around, then cut off the other corner, only because they're even by doing it that way, but otherwise I would never get them equal or even looking. And so then this is going to be kind of like, I don't know, a table, a tablecloth, a bench, something like that. And I'm going to put this up, and I have these 3 gorgeous little pot plants. They look like pot plants to me. And I'm going to have these just so simple. And that middle pot plant says keep growing. And I quite like that. I think this would be a really encouraging, beautiful card for somebody. And so I like the 3 plants, just so simple. You could add lots of little things to this if you wanted to, but I just really like how this one turned out, even though it was so easy to put together. Right, we have completed 7 cards put together here, and I still have all of this left over. I still have so much, let alone the sentiment sticker book. I mean, I barely even made a dent. You can barely even tell that I've used it, but look at all of these beautiful things that we still have left over, and I had ideas absolutely flowing. I must admit, my kids are definitely eyeing these up. They are very exciting for them to get into their little paper crafting session, but I thoroughly really enjoyed this, and I hope that this helps show you that even with a couple of items, if you go into the clearance section, as I said, I'm sure lots of shops have them, but in particular on scrapbook.com, I will link some of the fabulous options that are down below that you can just pick up for a pretty good price and set to without all of the bells and whistles going on. As usual, I will say I love all the bells and whistles. I love all the good things. I have a small craft space, so I really don't have room for them. I do have a die cutting machine, but I don't have all the good, lovely, beautiful things that are out there. And so I love and appreciate the simple designs and the style of card making. So if you like that too, then hit subscribe to my channel and give me the thumbs up, of course, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.